Imagine stepping into a room so silent that the faintest sound of your own breathing feels amplified, and even your heartbeat seems to echo in the emptiness. It's a place that feels almost unreal, a space where sound seems to vanish entirely. Today, we'll be delving into the mystery. How do anechoic chambers absorb almost all sound? Understanding this takes us into a world where physics, engineering, and clever design combine to create some of the quietest places on Earth. Right here, on History of Simple Things. An anechoic chamber is a specially designed room, intended to eliminate echoes and virtually all sound reflections, creating a space that behaves acoustically like open air, far away from any surfaces, which means sound doesn't bounce back to you like it normally does inside a room. The word anechoic literally means without echo, and these spaces are used to test microphones, speakers, machines, and even human hearing in conditions that are as free from interference as possible. Unlike typical rooms with hard walls, floors, and ceilings that send sound back into the environment, anechoic chambers absorb incoming sound energy instead of reflecting it. So what you hear in there is almost only the direct sound from its source and nothing else. To absorb sound effectively, anechoic chambers are lined on all interior surfaces, including sometimes the floor, with specialized materials that don't just block sound, but actually trap it. These materials include porous foams like polyurethane or melamine foam, mineral wool, and fiberglass, often shaped into wedges or pyramids to increase surface area and interaction with sound waves. When sound waves hit these surfaces, instead of bouncing back into the room, they enter the tiny pores of these materials and are gradually converted into heat through friction with the air and the material's internal structure. This conversion process dramatically reduces the energy of the sound waves until almost nothing is left to reflect back into the chamber. The shape of the absorbent material is just as important to how anechoic chambers work as the material itself. Flat surfaces tend to reflect sound back into a room, but when panels are cut into wedges or pyramids, the geometry helps trap sound waves deeper into the material. Each wedge presents a long path for the sound to travel and bounce between its surfaces, increasing the chance that the wave's energy is dissipated through absorption rather than reflection. Because of this, sound entering these shaped panels gets caught and weakened, helping create the echo-free environment inside the chamber. The unusual interior, jagged and irregular, doesn't leave any flat obstacle for sound to bounce off, and that's exactly the point. An anechoic chamber isn't just about interior panels. The entire structure is designed to stop outside noise from getting in and interfering with the silent environment. Many chambers are built as a room within a room, with thick outer walls made from concrete, brick, or steel, multi-layered barriers that block sound, and vibration isolation systems like springs or floating floors that prevent noise from traveling through building structures. These design elements work together to isolate the interior from external airborne sound and structural vibrations. So the only sound inside comes from what's deliberately produced inside the chamber and not from traffic, ventilation, or footsteps elsewhere in the building. The physics behind how anechoic materials stop sound starts with the nature of sound itself. Pressure waves moving through the air. When these waves hit a conventional surface, energy is reflected back into the room. But in an anechoic chamber, The irregular surfaces and porous materials encourage the sound waves to enter them, where the air's movement and the material's internal fiber structure cause tiny frictional interactions. These frictional processes convert the sound wave's energy into heat, removing it from the acoustic system. In essence, every wave that enters an absorber loses strength until it's effectively gone. This is why anechoic chambers aim for absorption rates above 99%, meaning almost all sound energy is swallowed up before it can bounce back. When the design and materials all come together correctly, the result is an astonishingly silent environment, sometimes registering well below the threshold of human hearing. For example, some of the world's best anechoic chambers achieve ambient noise levels less than 0 decibels on the dBA scale, meaning people inside report hearing their own heartbeats, breathing, or even the sound of blood moving through their ears. This is not because the chamber creates sound, but because the absence of external and reflected sound makes normally faint internal sounds perceptible. For engineers and researchers, this level of silence means measurements can be made with extreme precision because there's no background noise or reverberation to contaminate the data. So how do anechoic chambers absorb almost all sound? They use a combination of intelligent design and carefully chosen materials to trap, dissipate, and eliminate sound energy instead of letting it reflect back into a space. Wedge-shaped foam and fiberglass panels increase surface interaction. Porous materials convert acoustic energy into heat, and structural isolation keeps outside noise from interfering with the interior. Together, these elements create an environment so quiet it feels like sound has vanished altogether, giving scientists and engineers a controlled space unlike any other. Anechoic chambers are a powerful example of how human ingenuity can manipulate fundamental physical processes, in this case sound, to create a tool that pushes the boundaries of measurement, testing, and understanding. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.